one would care if this was Burnley right now. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. It's just because what you said earlier, is it jealousy? I don't believe it's jealousy. I think more fans are invested because of how successful City have been over the last 10 years.
Facts.
If we were talking to Charlton Athletic or something like that, you might not even put it on your stream.
I think people would care, especially if it was someone who.
I don't think they would care as much as what they're caring right now. Do you know what I mean?
Maybe not as much, but all the people that didn't get promoted because Burnley got promoted,
that's true. That's true.
It affects everybody in different ways at different levels.
But what highlights it more is how successful City have been during these 10 years, right? If they hadn't been successful and still got caught, then we'd talk about it, but we wouldn't be more invested in it. Like Arsenal, Liverpool fan, even myself, Ingrid, wouldn't probably be looking at it that much. It comes with the territory. If they've been found, I think they'll get found. See, I think they'll get found guilty, Terry, but they'll give him a slap, like a 2-year transfer ban reduced to 1, something like that. I think they'll give him a slap. But the problem is, I think it's going on so far because this is I can't remember a case like this at all in English football, and you have to set a precedent of this. So there's nothing to lean back on in history of football, in English football, of a case like this. So that's why it's taking. That's why it's, and also everyone goes, well, why is it taking so long? It's totally different from Forest and Everton. Forest and Everton about profit and sustainability and losing money. We're talking about fraud. We're talking. This might even go beyond football if they are found guilty.
Yeah, I mean, depending on what comes out. When you say though, it's just about. We wouldn't care if it was as much if it was Charlton, because if Charlton had been cheating for 10 years and not progressed and gone backwards, it would be ban them for cheating, but you cheated and you're still bad. I'll give you an example. If it turned out that from 2008 until they retired, both Usain Bolt and Craig Pickering, who are both 100-meter sprinters, were both taking steroids week in, week out, which one would the world be more upset about? Craig Pickering, who won nothing, or the man that we have looked at and gone, wow, the greatest sprinter ever did it via cheating? I think we'd be more upset that we all love Usain Bolt, but I think we'd all be gutted if it turned out he'd been cheating that whole time. And I think for me, and that's the thing here, yes, you'll get the rivalry of, like, I hate City, so I want them to be guilty. But this is where I think it changes the landscape of football in England if they're found guilty to the level that the expert on TalkSport said, is that this team for a decade has been lauded. For the last 7 years, we spoke about greatest team ever. They've done trebles. They broke crazy records. They have stopped Liverpool. They have stopped Arsenal. They have stopped Man United from winning major trophies. It's never happened in England before, as far as I remember, not in the sort of the modern day era where potentially a team has cheated via either drugs in their players, financially doping or match fixing, cheated to an extent where the last 10-year history of our league is going to change. It's not worthless anymore, but it's going to change. And because they're so successful,
big asterisks,
and because they've been held in such high regard, I think that's why people care. Because imagine Liverpool fans as an example. If City didn't exist, maybe you wouldn't have demanded more from FSG, but I think you guys have, come on, you got to do more because City did. But what if City were only doing more because they cheated? Do you get where I'm coming from? I think that's the bit for me that's kind of being lost here. It's the way we view football in the last 7 or 8 years has changed because of the City team. But what if it ain't real? What if it's not real?
I'll tell you what it's doing. It's making every other club look into their cupboards, look into their finals, look into
that's why you boys, Chelsea, you've brought yourselves up. You've reported that you've handed yourselves into the police.
Yes, right, we're not.
Do you remember during the 2010 riots in London, and they had all those mums like frog marching their kids to the police station? That's what Chelsea did. They give back them those 120, there's 110s, bruv. Give them back.
You know one thing I always look at here is, as you said, like football's obviously changed in the last 10 years, and to be honest, in just general, but also that kind of perception and the image of winning. I feel like obviously because of social media, that's also changed. So that's why I guess fans would care in that kind of sense, because of course, listen, throughout time, history, since Jesus was a boy, people cared about, the winning and losing, side of things, fair enough. But the image with being associated with a winner now, whether it be NBA or, whether it be a certain player, LeBron James, Steph Curry, whatever it may be, when we're looking at it in football terms, being associated with a winner, that's amazing. When you're having debates on social media, you can almost feel like you're sitting at the top of the table because no one can really chat to you anymore because my team's the best team in the world. Whereas before, it probably wasn't as bad because of the social media. So of course, if City are then found guilty, yeah, it's going to be a very, very quiet place on social media for Manchester
But
City.
then the Premier League have to look at themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
And themselves. So they've got to look at themselves, like you said, right? They've got to examine every single sponsorship deal now that a club gets, where that money's coming from. They've got to go through every deal that every club makes with a fine-tooth comb. It's got to be ratified, like you said, because otherwise this looks bad. If they don't do anything themselves, this looks bad on them as well if they find City guilty. In terms of it looks bad on them.
I totally agree. And as I say, like if City are innocent, I'll be someone that stands next to them and say, leave them alone. They haven't done this. But I look at it if I just look at Arsenal as an example in the last few years, a lot of their high standard fans use City as the barometer for that's what success looks like. Imagine you scrape that away. The old ideology that a group of people have is based upon fraudulence. It's a bit like, if it turns out a really successful businessman built his empire upon illegal gains, you suddenly can't look at him as, no one, when people are doing like business studies, no one uses like, what's his name? Pablo Escobar as an example, because although he was obviously a good businessman, it's not something that, that you're proud of per se. Do you know what I'm saying? But there's some super chats here. This here says that, first of all, big up Kate for speaking up. What success are we talking about with City? If financial doping and money laundering helps them to buy players and helping them win, fraudulent, of course, if proven. The best thing for the Premier League, relegate cheats City and Chelsea. A lot of people think they won't relegate anyone from outside of inside the big six, the top six, the big six, whatever you refer to them as, because it will hurt the league financially. I think if these things are proven, they'll lose a lot more money in the long run. But wouldn't it be funny to see KDB playing in League One or something? It would be amazing, wouldn't it? You know what I mean? Yeah. These titles will be voided but not rewarded. I agree with that outcome, to be fair.
Yeah.
If they're found guilty, is Pep's legacy tarnished?
Good question.
No, because we've seen Pep Guardiola prior to Manchester City, and he was already one of, if not the best manager out there anyway. So,
but hold on. What if, for example, they do strip them off their titles? Then has Pep wasted his time being at Manchester City for as long as he has? And how is he going to feel about that on a personal level?
No, because we've still watched Pep. Like, obviously, I know, if they strip it, of course, it's all voided and stuff. But we've watched him during this time, so I wouldn't even say it's really been a waste of time. And as I said, that time prior to Manchester City, he was already the greatest, if not the top two manager in world football anyway. It's not like he was a manager who, like, if it was like Mikel Arteta as an example, where he moved to Manchester City, then he just, started winning all these trophies. Then you're like, this is your first job. You've won all these things. We know Pep was already great prior to this anyway. So I don't see how it changes, man.
If Pep's ambition is to chase records of, let's say, an Alex Ferguson or whatever, if he does get there, the thing is, he's going to have an asterisk next to his name for the rest of history. You see what I'm saying? Whereas an Alex Ferguson and that don't. So that kind of changes things a little bit, don't you think?
He said he'd leave. He said he'd leave anyway, didn't he? Didn't he say he'd leave if they found
I think it does. I'll get where G's coming from, because we've seen what he's done with that team. What it does it undoes his Premier League legacy, because if that team shouldn't have existed, then we don't know what he would have done with less resources and a team with less capability and depth, as an example. Again, I've said it all along. If they are guilty of this, the two groups of people that I would genuinely feel sorry for would be the players and manager as one, and the majority of the fans. Forget the fans online that give it. Like, most of their fans are not 99. None of their fans are accountable if their club's cheated. Imagine going through what they've been through in the last 7, 8, 9 years and the happiness they've felt. Imagine in the end you're told it was all fake. It was all built upon a lie. I genuinely feel sorry for them, because if any of us went through that, like, imagine how you'd feel like it's not real. So there's a part of me on a human level that hopes that it's not real just for them, because they don't deserve that. But, all banter aside, they don't. But we will see. Rahman here says, Terry, Allah is with us. Nothing is bigger than Allah's power. Listen, bro, I'm not going to give an opinion on that. All I'm going to say is you're a good guy, Rahman, individually, and I hope for you get a good outcome, my friend. For me, are we serious? Sorry. For me, are we serious that he doesn't know what has been going on? Pep has also said Barca, who have been charged with similar cases. Can you imagine, though, if both Barca and City have everything stripped for cheating, all when Pep is there, and he's left with no trophies, barring his...
Man, that's crazy.
Imagine if Pep's whole legacy was a lie. He's just a stooge.
That's when you'll be like, all right. But then I don't know, man, because at the same time, I'm still gonna look at him and think, but I saw you, like I watched you.
The Barca one will be different because that was paying. That was match fixing. So that's
paying. That's not really players. That's
Pep with this team still had to make this team gel and work.
Exactly.
The Barcelona one is very different because essentially it's referees to help fix games for them. Like, if that's true, it's crazy.
I tell you what, Terry, then start looking at Bayern Munich just for the laughs.
I was going to say, you might as well. Yeah, you might as well.
Can you imagine? He ends up retiring with just one FA Vans trophy that he wins in League Two with City. Do you know what I mean?
Barcelona Youth Trophy. It's got a Barcelona Youth Trophy.
It's not going to happen. Everybody relax. Pep doesn't work with teams with limited budget. Yeah, sure. Legacy backed with money.
You know, I just sorry on that. Yeah, I've never understood that argument anyway, because I always looked at it and think, what do you want him to manage Stoke? Like, was he supposed to go from Barcelona to like Stoke, or like I don't understand this narrative with some managers. Like, we've seen Mourinho go to like top clubs. It's only been in the last really Roma, if I'm being honest, where he's gone to a club and you're like
Spurs as well.
Spurs. I respect Spurs, but I think
little.
I think when we're looking at him, like, what did you even expect these guys to do? Like, they're top managers. A top manager is not going to go and because I don't know, John 123 on social media said, yeah, you can only do it with money, he's going to decide to go to Stoke City. Like, that's just never gonna happen, man. Like, we need to get out of it.
No,
that'd been great to see him work on Rory Delap's throw-ins. Just to see
that'd be cool, though. Yeah, that'd be cool.
See if he can do it. Will the Prem stand up to City like UEFA did? Well, they've charged them. So let's just get it right. They have been charged. So Joshua Jack, so far they have stood up to them and they're taking it further. But viewers, give us your thoughts, give us your feedback.